Female genital mutilation stands at only 1.4% in Uganda. But among the communities that practice it, it is above 90%.
It's something that not many people know about, and it happens in a few communities in Uganda. So the rest of Uganda are not interested because they don't know.
The girls that undergo FGM are typically between the age of 12 to 19, but as young as 4 among some communities.
I've interacted with very many elders from Sebei sub-region and Pokot sub-region, whom I've asked the question always, when did FGM start? And nobody will give you a definite answer why when FGM started. But they claim that when the Sabini were traveling during migration to come into East Africa, where they came from is where the Ethiopians came from, where the Somalis came from, and all those countries practice FGM. So they claim they started FGM because they borrowed it from where they came from, and therefore it's as old as the 16th century.
The communities that practice FGM are found on the slopes of Mountain Elgon among the Sabini and Sebei, in plains of Karamoja among the Tipeth and Pokot. This ceremony goes by different names among the different communities. The Sebei call it Wonsethap Tipik, but it is all the same thing. The removal with the use of a knife of the clitoris and labia from the female genitalia. This ritual among all communities that practice FGM symbolizes the rite of passage from being a girl to becoming a woman. Among the Sebei, the circumcision night was one of high emotions.
I went through it when I was like 16 years. I was just very young. And that time it was something that was automatic, that you have to go through it. And girls really enjoyed it. Like you go in, you get a uniform, you just decorate yourself very well, and you just go there joyously.
The excitement arose from the pomp of the ceremony and significance of the event.
My parents prepared local brew for dedicating me to the participation of being a woman and being circumcised.
And the girls that successfully underwent the circumcision received recognition and brought pride to their family.
If you've now participated well, they now put a basket here for the clan members, the aunties, the neighbors, to put at least something good collection. Maybe it is a profit now for the people to enjoy that our daughter has got money, has got cows, or about what.
The circumciser's knife is what defined a woman among the Sabin, Tipeth, and Pokot. As brave or as a coward, as clean or as impure, as marriage-worthy or not. It defined the status and place of the woman in society, with the female circumcisers commanding the highest respect, status, and wealth.
I used to make 2 million shillings during the cutting season. On top of that, I would be given clothes, cows, and hens.
For the girls that avoided FGM, life was harsh.
Whenever my husband would go to drink, his friends would insult him, asking him why he is still staying with a girl. Whenever he came back drunk, he would just kick the door, calling me a girl.
But things were about to change. By 2009, an anti-FGM campaign was going on in the region for more than a decade. This was mostly supported with funds from the United Nations Population Fund and other NGOs. But government was prominently missing.
UNFPA said they are pulling out of funding because government is not responding. they've been funding the campaign for several years. Then they said, this is, now we are pulling out because your government is not interested. So I said, now we cannot allow this fight to just collapse. I arranged for a meeting with the president, with the leaders of Kapchorwa, the practitioners and the advocates for ending the campaign. We had a very long meeting in State House. That day, actually, the president was supposed to leave for Libya for the OAU meeting. But after he had seen the instruments they use, because we carried the stones, we carried the knives, we carried some sick people and said these are people who have suffered out of FGM. So he said, no, I think let me cancel my journey. We were supposed to go to Amudat to launch the campaign. He said, let me go with you to Amudat, and we launched the campaign. So on July 1st, 2009, we went to the Kenya-Uganda border, where we officially launched the national campaign against FGM.
With the active involvement of not just the government but the president in the anti-FGM campaign, it gained momentum. Soon, FGM would become an act against the law. In 2010, the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act 2010 was passed, making it illegal to continue the cultural practice. Dora Byamukama, a lawyer and an anti-FGM advocate, was among those that spearheaded the change in the law.
We started this work in 1989, and I had just finished my course at the Law Development Center. And at that time, FIDA was very active, and I was part of FIDA. And then at this particular point in time, actually, the district of Kapchorwa had passed a bylaw or an ordinance whereby they were supporting the female genital mutilation. And the Ministry of Gender, led by Joyce Mpanga at that time, was trying very much to stop the practice. But we had people like Mr. Cameron, Honorable Cameron, who was the chairman at that time, and others who were very much against what we were trying to do in stopping FGM. And we were viewed as outsiders. And over time, we realized that we had to be closer to the people, get activists from within, like Honorable Francis Kuka, like the late Honorable Mr. Cheborion of the Sabini Elders Association. So we realized that we had to work with the people to get them to understand the issue of FGM. So when we talk about 2010, it's as if it was just like we woke up one morning and we came up with a law. No, it's been a protracted, long struggle, over 20 years of work on this particular issue.
The law appeared harsh, making a previously accepted cultural practice punishable with imprisonment of up to 10 years. However, the severity of the law must be put in perspective of the burden carried by women that undergo FGM.
For example, you can have vesicovaginal fistula where the urine will just pass by the vaginal orifice and then it drips down. So sometimes that one you can have what we call incontinence, uncontrolled flow of urine via the birth canal or the vaginal opening. So this one sometimes it causes a lot of stigma. If someone is actually having that case, you know how it looks like. First of all, even the community members will disassociate from you. They will feel you are looking smelly, you are unfit to be in that community. And most of them actually will develop psychological trauma.
The law goes further, providing for aggravated female genital mutilation that calls for a life imprisonment sentence. But just what actions warrant a life imprisonment?
A parent forces a child, whereby you go to a health facility and instead of you just giving birth, you also get FGM done on you without you knowing, and even if you knew, it's a crime anyway. Or whereby you have other leaders forcing you to do so. Or whereby death occurs. If a person undergoes FGM and death occurs, then that becomes aggravated and therefore you can be imprisoned for life.
Besides the overt criminal actions, the law also provides for the subtle social behaviors that promote FGM.
One of them was the one that criminalizes stigmatization of families that have not undertaken that right. There was so much peer pressure. You go to the well, they say, go, you're a woman, you're a girl, you go back to the queue. Let the women collect water, you will come last. So one of those clauses was to criminalize that kind of conduct. The men were also, the husbands whose wives were not circumcised were also being harassed. So I think that's one of those that has been effective.
In the wake of the prohibition law, many female circumcisers that chose to disregard it, continuing in their traditional duties, found themselves behind bars. The article on the convicts was written by David Mafabi. He is a reporter with the Daily Monitor newspaper, and he has written extensively on female circumcision in Uganda. He offers an explanation as to why, even with the iron hand of the law, FGM continues among the practicing communities.
For them, they see it as their identity, the only thing that can identify them. They view it as something that is so important in terms of culture, and they don't want to break away from it. And if you told the traditional Sabini to leave circumcision, he would definitely confront you. I remember one time I did a story in Buka sub-region, in some sub-county, where I went and I was interviewing a family about FGM. Immediately I reached the family, the man had heard about the law. He asked me, are the people who are bringing this new law about FGM? Even when I told him no, they chased me and stoned me until I ran out of the home.
The cultural sensitivity of the matter makes it all the more complex to handle. For example, after the FGM surgeons were imprisoned, community elders gathered to lobby for their release and got what they wanted.